Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Jordan Love. Well, I think every conversation revolving around the Packers has to start there. Give me your synopsis through 2 games.
Through 2 games, Matt, it's been better than I would have anticipated. I was one of the more pessimistic Packer fans at the moment, broadcasters alike, when the move goes through. Now, not that I was standing up on the table campaigning for them to continue on with the Aaron Rodgers era. I believe that had kind of run its course, and to be quite honest with you, the Packers weren't going to get the Aaron Rodgers that the Jets got until 4 plays into his Monday night debut. That just wasn't going to happen again. The relationship, I think, was too far gone at that moment. However, at the time, I was not positive into what you had in Jordan, because we hadn't gotten a great chance to see him outside of 2 regular season games, without a first preseason in his rookie campaign, because he gets drafted the year of COVID, running its course through the National Football League. So no training camp, no preseason games. He hadn't played a game in almost a full year by the time he got on the field in 21's preseason, and then gets hurt in the 21 preseason. So misses all those opportunities. Last year, I thought he got a little bit better each time we saw him in the preseason, but you take that with a grain of salt being around this game. And then coming into 2023, I don't know if it was simply the change in the organizational structure, meaning Aaron Rodgers out, him going in, everybody being very, very aligned in wanting him to succeed. Everybody that's in that room and the decision makers there were in the room in 2020 when they selected him, right? So everybody has a vested stake in Jordan Love being good, Jordan Love being the next starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers for a long-term run, and he has checked those boxes. I mean, some of the numbers are pretty astonishing. I saw one earlier today of he's right now one of 4 quarterbacks in the last 20 years to start each of his first 2 games of a season with 3 touchdowns, no picks. The only other guys that do it are Mahomes a couple of times and Peyton Manning. He's not that, I don't believe, but I will tell you this, the optimism in the land of cheese is quite higher than anybody would have expected. And what at least I've been told as somebody who's grown up, this is kind of tough for a lot of fan bases to hear. Real champagne problems here, Matt. I've only watched my favorite team with a Hall of Fame quarterback being the starter.
Yeah.
So I had been cautioned by many in our fan base to say, it's not going to be this good. Not always going to be this good. You just wait till the 70s and 80s come back, and through 2 games, it's been pretty good from what a 10 has shown back there. The poise, confidence is really, really impressive, and the arm strength is there. It just needs to have more consistency in the money downs. He was really good week 1, not so good week 2, didn't have the ball a whole lot in the fourth quarter, but it's a put up or shut up game when you need a field goal to win the game, 57 seconds left. That's one that the greats are going to go down and win. In week 2 as the first year of a starter, it's not necessarily anticipated that you're going to make that play. But if he's going to be in that realm of the guys that I mentioned earlier, some of the stats that tie him to, that's the next step for you to be able to take.
Where is the concern offensively?
I'll tell you this, the concern right now is on the injury report. When Aaron Jones pops up on that injury report, and I think he was a DNP officially today, practiced or worked out inside, didn't come out with the team once they go out to the outdoor media available portion of practice. That's a concern. He is by far their most dynamic playmaker. He's their most consistent playmaker. He has 2 touchdowns on the season, and they're 2 of the biggest drives that they had in that Chicago game and really busted it on open. Christian Watson has not played yet here in 2023. He popped up on the injury report week of the first game, and has been MIA since, and a guy that dealt with some soft tissue injuries last year. So the real concern so far is on the injury report, and then that also includes their 2 Pro Bowl linemen in Elton Jenkins, who goes down with a sprained MCL in Atlanta, and then David Bakhtiari, which is one of the biggest talkers here in Wisconsin, is what's going on with David Bakhtiari and his knee that has been surgically repaired multiple times after a torn ACL on New Year's Eve of 2020. He hasn't really been able to get it quite right. He was on the field week 1, was dominant, was not on the field week 2. That was a surprise. So really the biggest concern right now is who's going to be there on Sunday at noon when they kick this thing on off.
Bill Schmid is with us on Twitter at Bill Schmid Radio, or I guess on X at Bill Schmid Radio. 97.3 The Game there in Milwaukee, Packers Radio. Flip it over to the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay. Through 2 weeks, albeit you saw Justin Fields and Desmond Ridder, so you didn't exactly see Mahomes and Allen, but neither did the Saints for that matter. But what do we know about this Green Bay defense through 2 weeks?
We know that the defensive coordinator is much maligned up here, and he had quite a few arrows going towards Joe Barry, the DC, this year. He's in his 3rd year. Many people in the fan base thought he was going to get dismissed last year. I kind of also did, to be honest with you, but then they would have been on, and Matt LaFleur would have been on, guys, his 3rd defensive coordinator in 5 years. And in the NFL, it's a not-for-long business, but the coaching fraternity is a little bit tighter knit, and I think that potentially gave them some pause in that move. And they closed the year out well last year, albeit with a bunch of turnovers coming from Tua, who at one point seemed like he may have been concussed during that game through 3 straight picks. Kirk Cousins gave him a couple. Justin Fields gave him a couple. Baker Mayfield comes up here in December and gift wraps 3 picks for you the week of Christmas. So it was a really good finish to the year, but the mean of what we've seen from Joe Barry-led defenses in Green Bay just hasn't been good enough. So that is kind of the recipe for it, that they have gotten run on significantly over the last, decade or so. But most importantly, last week, they were unable to stop a nosebleed in the second half. 4 of 5 possessions end in Falcons scores. Atlanta chewed up 20-plus minutes of time of possession in that fourth quarter, and they only ran 10 plays in the fourth quarter offensively. So Atlanta was on the field the entire time, and Green Bay didn't really have an answer for it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think this is one of the biggest questions that we've been kicking around on the 9 to Noon radio show that I do on the game, like you mentioned, in Milwaukee, is they have guys at every position who have been voted Pro Bowlers, right? Devondre Campbell has been a Pro Bowler. He was actually first-team All-Pro in 2021. Rashawn Gary, we think, is in that realm. He is coming off an ACL surgery, but looked really, really good. Kenny Clark's been to a couple of Pro Bowls. Jair Alexander is bona fide, couple of Pro Bowls. But do they have Pro Bowlers or all pros? And I think that's a lot of times the real differentiator between good defenses and great defenses that you win because of. I think right now their defense is one that you can probably win with, not one that you win because of. And that's going to be, I think, frankly, more of a personnel thing than a coaching thing. But as you guys know, you can't fire all the players. You can fire the defensive coordinator. And that's one of the reasons why Joe Barry's name has been in the news so much.
Hey, Bill, what is the you said recipe, so I'll use your word. What's the recipe for Matt LaFleur on Sunday to get a win against New Orleans? How would it look ideally for Green Bay?
That's a really good question. I think, frankly, it is playing turnover-free. They've been able to be turnover-free so far in 2023, and Jordan's last consistent playing time was in 2019 when he was leading Utah State and also leading the FBS in interceptions with 17. So they keep control of the football. I think this is a field goal game either way, and I think they have a really good chance to win the game. They got to be able to run the ball more if Aaron Jones isn't in the game. And second-round pick from a few years ago, A.J. Dillon, has been quite disappointing in that realm. He's had 1 or 2 pop-up games where he runs for 100 yards and people start flooding the Packers Pro Shop to buy 28 jerseys. And then there's a day like this past week where it's 15 carries for 50 yards, and it looks painful to try to see if they can gain 3 or 4 on the ground. So they got to be able to run the ball, albeit much easier said than done against this Saints front, man, which is pretty impressive. So they got to be able to run the ball and set up easy throws for Love. I think that's the recipe for a lot of teams, is don't turn the ball over. But Jordan has found some real consistency with Romeo Doubs. He's got a really nice rapport with him. Rookie Jaden Reed from Michigan State had 2 scores a week ago, 8 targets, and I think number 11 ultimately is probably the guy that you're going to see with a number of targets, probably the most used wide receiver here on Sunday.
Saints-Packers noon kickoff there at Lambeau on Sunday. He's Bill Schmid, 97.3 the game there in Milwaukee, part of the Packers Radio Network. Good enough to join us. Bill, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Enjoy the game on Sunday.
You guys, too. If anybody's coming on up, I don't know that it's going to be as good of a tailgate as it was for LSU Wisconsin, but it should be a heck of a party. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, man. Everything was so great about that trip, Bill, until the game kicked off. I mean, it was...
Until the game, huh? I'm going to be honest with you. There are people that still tell stories about the LSU Tiger fans coming on up here and out drinking Wisconsin people. That doesn't happen very often. So you have to be very proud of yourself.
That happens everywhere LSU goes, Bill. That's just like the sun rising. It's no big deal down here. So eventually, you know the most astonishing thing, though, Bill? Every time, and it's just old hat, because like LSU keeps going these places, and every time LSU fans show up, you would think like word would their reputation would precede them, and these places would be ready. And Bill, I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to these damn like hotels, and the first day the hotel is completely drunk dry, then the next morning they've got Bloody Mary bars in the lobby and push carts with booze because that's like, okay, now you get it. So anyway, yes. Hey, look, that's the thing we all have in common. Wisconsinites and Louisianians. We love to drink and have a good time, for sure.
You're dang right, and we love some football being tied on in there. That is a pilgrimage I need to make as a football fan, is down to Death Valley, and I look forward to being able to do it, guys.
Holler at me when you make it, man. We'll treat you right.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate it again. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.